Hello and welcome everyone. This is our new broadcast. We are here with the Page Turner Club, with the LAU Life Broadcast Club, and the LAU North African Culture Club. We have came up with this event, which is a book talk of Ouafa and Thaoura about a lover from Tunisia. So first, we're gonna go through the agenda. What we have today, we will be presenting the clubs, the author, the book, and then going through some analysis, reading some passages and poems, and then we'll have an open discussion. First and foremost, my name is Hedi Jaza. I'm the president of the LAU North African Culture Club and the vice president of the LAU Live Broadcast Club. And we have here several members from the Page Turner Club. If you don't mind, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's first of all, it's a pleasure to be collaborating with your clubs. My name is Hebel Halla, and I'm the vice president of the Page Turner Club.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Ella Wakid, and I'm the secretary of the Page Turner Club, and it's really nice to be here.
Hi, my name is Mala Kailat, and I'm a member of the Page Turner Club.
Hi, my name is Mariam Yahya, and I'm also a member of Page Turner Club.
Well, it's nice to have you as well with us. Can you give us a little bit more about what your club does in terms of activities, in terms of what happens during meetings, just overall the atmosphere, the history, if there is any, and the missions and activities overall?
So the main purpose of our club is to promote reading, to promote literature, to get students back to this precious activity, which is reading and getting exposed to different works of fiction, nonfiction. We don't limit ourselves to particular genres of literature. We try to get our members exposed to every kind of literature out there. And our club has been going on since the pre-COVID days, actually. But then there was like a drought in the activities. And then we picked it up. We ran for the elections, and we're here today, and we've been trying to revive our activities, revive the club and the spirit. Ella, would you like to brief us on some of the activities that we've done?
Sure. So basically, we do different activities all related to different kinds of literature and reading and all that. So we do poetry circles, we do reading circles, we do passion presentations about different topics and all of that. And also we do different events, like we went to a book fair, and we have reading promotion events. So a few weeks ago, we had a book recommendation stand at the brigade. And this Friday, actually, we have a big event called Literature Day, where there will be basically different booths with games related to literature. And the purpose of that is to basically get people back into the spirit of reading. And it's not just Shakespeare and all of that. So we'd like to see you all there.
Well, nice. I have actually passed by the stand that you had the other day, and I got recommended a book. I think it's Dorian Gray.
Oh,
that
the
book.
picture of
The
Dorian
pictures
Gray.
of Dorian Gray. Yeah, I still haven't started it yet, but I have it on top of my head. And I believe the event that you have coming is in collaboration as well with the English department.
Yes, with the communications department, specifically the English program.
Nice. Well, that's very nice to hear. We have pretty much, you have diverse activities happening, and all of it for the noble cause of encouraging students to read at the end of the day. For the North African Culture Club that I am president of, we started this club last year, and we noticed that we wanted to build this sort of community, a safe space for students who not necessarily have the support system either from a scholarship or from a mentor. So we wanted to be there for them, because there's been a growth in students who come from the North African region to study at LAU, who not necessarily have to be in part of a scholarship. So the activities we do usually in meetings, there's some sort of support group, we talk, we share food sometimes. We had our first event, the LAU North African Day, where we had the stand also at Upper. Recently we had a trivia night, just to quiz students and encourage them to win a prizing in case they know much about the North African region. And this is our second event of the semester and the third overall, where we want to more introduce the literature part of the North African region. As for the LAU Live Broadcast Club, it's more of a voice for the students to have. We wanted to document the events because we know the effort and the time that it takes to make an event. And sometimes when you look back into it and you don't find much documentation, it really just in the back of your head, you don't have concrete things to reminiscence what happened. So this is briefly it for both clubs. So we can get now into the book that we have picked for this discussion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the author's name is Arturo Desimone.
Yes, Arturo Desimone, I think.
Okay. Do you speak Spanish?
I speak Portuguese.
For the
it's a bit similar, yeah. So Arturo Desimone, for like a brief introduction, he's an Arubian Argentinian writer and visual artist. He was born in 1984 on the Caribbean island called Aruba, where he lived until the age of 22. And at the age of 22, he emigrated to the Netherlands. And Desimone claims that he's always been fascinated by the poetic and the musical traditions, as well as the politics of the Swana region. And this interest of his kind of like bloomed and intensified when he spent his years in Amsterdam. And however, like when he started working on a kind of like a long project to discover and like explore his ancestral like background, he had to relocate to Argentina because that's where his father was born and raised. But his father eventually had to flee Argentina because of the military dictatorship there. And Desimone claims he introduces, like in his introduction to this book that we'll be discussing today, he says that it was like the stories that his father used to tell him about the 1970s Argentinian police state, which were stories of oppression, like thousands of detentions and instances of imprisonment and disappearances of the youth. It was because of these stories that there was instilled in him these stories instilled in him this quote unquote, he says, a thirst for finally retaliating. And this retaliation, he says, is in taking the opportunity to witness a revolution and understand it, to see what exactly happens when a population in some place successfully resists and overpowers the oppressive police state. And he saw this opportunity when news about the Arab Spring spread in 2010. And he grasped that opportunity when he volunteered to go as a delegate in Tunis. And so this book that we'll be discussing today is basically a collection of his poetry as well as his drawings and visual art of his time that he spent there in Tunis between 2011 and 2013. And he, throughout these poems and drawings, as we will see now, he was able to basically describe how through love and revolution, his passion and his love for the Arab world and the Arab culture, specifically Tunis, started to grow. His works have been featured in a variety of publications, not just South American, but also English, American, and even Arab publications. And he's performed his poetry in various locations as well.
Yeah. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think the book was published after his visit, like a long time after, like 5 to 6 years or so.
Yeah.
Another thing is that surprised me that he actually found, let's say, some sort of love and attraction to Tunis during that time. When I was living there in 2011, the only feeling I had was fear. Everyone was afraid. Everyone did not know what's going to happen. We never had this kind of chaos. I was still very young, but you can sense it in your parents when your mom, who always knows what's going to happen next, doesn't know. So reading a book that someone saw what's happening from a different perspective and attached other feelings in some sort of way or another get me to reflect or see maybe at the end of the day it was just not only about fear, it was about being stronger, but finding why we are fighting for finding out why we are fighting for this country, and so forth. Well, that was a very nice introduction of the author. Thank you very much. We can pass to our second part of the broadcast, which would be around the themes and overview of the background, let's say, of these stories and poems. Who would like to take on that? It's all right. Whoever feels like it, it's fine. I just turned up abruptly. So I saw in your notes that you wrote here, Dido.
Yes.
And for the people who don't know, I will give like a background of this. Dido or Alisa or Elisar, right? This is the name that you have in Lebanon, right? So was a Phoenician queen from Sur. Princess from Sur, who fled Tyre to get fled from her brother's, let's say, wrath, because he imposed some restrictions on her, and she fled to Carthage, and she founded that empire there, Carthage, which is in Tunisia, the country. So the story, we have heard it at least when I was in primary school a dozen of times, and then I come here for my undergrad, and it's also like some sort of mythology, like Phoenician mythology, and that's what brings like the two countries in some way or another back to history ties, and they're in some sort of way or another they're pretty similar. So I don't know if I've forgotten something. Also there are like these small, let's say, details of, she had only with her a coat of a bull, and then from that coat she built on that land, and with her bargaining skills that she got from the sailors, she knew how to get more land, and then she attracted more people, and then at the end of the day she founded the whole Carthaginian Empire, which was back in the day pretty much covering most of the Mediterranean. Yes, and then it got defeated by the Roman Empire, but you only know about the Roman Empire, God knows why. Anyhow.
It's very interesting. I didn't know about like this backstory.
It's
very interesting to know.
Yeah, so, and now maybe you can tell us more about the other mythology.
Aeneas is his part of Greek mythology. Apparently he's a Trojan hero, and he was the son of the goddess Aphrodite. And he played apparently a significant role in the Trojan War. And the way that he had this there was this prophecy that he had to fulfill, which is to basically be a forefather of the Roman people. And so as I was reading, I found out that the way that Dido and Aeneas are brought together is that, Carthage eventually started growing as an empire, and it had like the economic growth taking place there was significant. And being located where it is, Carthage was like successful in like performing several trades, like trade relationships with other people and other empires. And so it was during, I think, kind of a transaction, from what I have learned, that the two came together. And it is said that there was some like romantic relationship between the two, but because Aeneas had to fulfill that prophecy and had to like fulfill his responsibility of being the forefather of Rome, and like they had to eventually be separated, and the relationship was not carried on.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
And then Dido was so devastated. So after this betrayal, she eventually wanted to kill herself. So she created this imaginary killing spree type of death for herself in his name, and she started blaming him for her death. So she eventually died and left her sister and her empire that she had built for many years due to her love and the betrayal that happened.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very tragic story.
And also to add what they were saying, this is all based on a book called The Aeneid by Virgil, and also this is all myth.
Yeah,
like the Trojan War, it's all myth. So the book is composed of a lot of books, and the style is through poetry. So if you like poetry from the olden days,
Epic
I
poem.
suggest you read it.
The Iliad.
The Aeneid.
The Aeneid,
The
okay, because
Aeneid.
I know the Iliad. It's
Yeah.
not,
Oh, yeah.
it's not poetry whatsoever. Okay. note it. Also for our viewers, you heard their suggestions, so note it down. We can now move on to the themes that
Yes,
are
sure.
recurring. Mm-hmm. Who want to take the
Okay.
lead?
Who would like to start?
Should I start?
Yes,
No,
go
sure.
ahead.
Okay. So the first theme that I'm going to be talking about is love and sensuality. In my section, because we sectioned the book, in my section, the first two poems that I dealt with directly started with love and sensuality, which are Last Love, Noise, Sound, Note, which is one. I know it's a tongue twister. And then the second one is Remembering Tunisia. These two poems delved into the themes of love, loss, revolution, and exile. The imagery in the first one of the brown skin under pressing fingers suggests intimacy and physical connection, which, while referencing to revolution and exile, hint at broader societal and political upheaval. Contrasting the vibrant chaos of the revolution, symbolized by the howling middle vault of the Thaoura, which we also went through here in Lebanon not too long ago, with the dullness and loneliness of life afterward, returning to a world of gray spaces and loneliness, where they feel disconnected, alienated, and detached from the actual reality of the present life. There was also references to living under the regime, the norm, and exile to cybernetic fortresses, which paint a picture of oppression and surveillance, where even the moon is seen as a deceitful entity by those in power. So it shows how the lover, or in our case, the author, is longing for love, not having to be restricted within like societal norms and societal expectations and the oppressive governmental or like societal expectations that our environments have put on us and have forced us to have.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's still it's still frowned upon when a Tunisian woman does not marry a Tunisian man or does not, or is in a relationship with a non-Tunisian.
They count that as like a disgrace to your culture, which should go back to one's own freedom and autonomy and be their
Love
own
it for the
choice.
people on the back.
And then in Remembering Tunisia, the speaker's heart is depicted as entangled in various elements of their environment, once again highlighting the concept of oppressive forces, ranging from architectural features like minarets and lattice work to social symbols like makeshift TV antennas and status symbols, and being restricted to what now our generation is kind of addicted to. And then the imagery becomes more vivid as the speaker describes encounters with individuals and experiences that resonate deeply within them. They recount moments of intimacy and connection, such as kissing their beloved on a balcony and being enveloped in the sounds of nature and whispers of African birds. The speaker's heart is metaphorically entangled in their lover's hands, described as belonging to a little goddess Tanith made of richest clay, which is also a reference to mythology, such as the story of the Bay of Tunis turning into a stag, which reflects the speaker's perspective on love and reality, and love and connection, which can provide sustenance and meaning. So that's the first theme.
I want to add also to the theme of love. So there's the poem Letter of Once. It really delves more into the profound like human longing for a connection and just reconciliation and the preservation of memories in that passage of time and the change. The poem opens with the desire for communication, like expressing a yearning to talk without hesitation, resentment, or fear. This really sets the tone for a plea for openness and vulnerability in relationships, suggesting a desire to overcome barriers that have hindered connections in the past and even till now. Like the imagery of tragedies being unmade and the refusal to create new ones speak to the human capacity for redemption and renewal even. It really reflects a longing to move beyond past pain and like conflict towards healing and connection. This theme is like further emphasized by the reference to memories of walking down a street of white graves, hinting at the weight of past experiences and the desire to hold on to moments of significance. We also have like just the refusal to allow memories to be sealed away or buried. Really underscores the narrator's determination to preserve the essence of their relationship and their memories. And it just reflects a commitment to honoring the bonds of the past and the bonds shared with other people, despite the challenges they may face. So, like overall, this poem it's actually a really beautiful poem. It explores like just so much vulnerability and the enduring power of just connection and the importance of it. And it really invites readers to reflect on the complexities of human relationships and the importance of communication, like reconciliation, navigating the ups and downs, and not just in like romantic relations, just as, you know, dealing with people in general.
Well, it's all about the context in which you were born, in
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
where you're living. I'm referencing Kamala Harris, if you
Yeah.
remember. It really matters a lot to not only when you go in a partnership with someone, in a relationship with someone, that they are coming not only them as a person, but also their ancestry, their culture, the circumstances that they have lived on, their past traumas. So usually, this kind of understanding is not as evident as we might expect, but in Tunisia, it's not as common for people to understand that. They think of it as if more or less something that it should not really be spoken about. You just have to deal with it on your own. You don't let your other partner go down the hill with you. But in this themes that we just mentioned, really brings this alert for people to know that you can reach even higher terms of understanding and affection when these sorts of line of communication is built. Do we have anything else to add?
Basically, the author uses this connection he has to his lover, to his Tunisian lover, to further like deepen his connection to the land and to the country. So, like in the first poem, for example, he remembers a number of Tunisia's cities and locations because they are where he made memories of love without women. So there are different places, and he comes to associate Tunis with the idea of home because of this woman that he was in love with. So yeah.
Did any of you guess the name of the woman based on?
Yeah, I did kind of like a research. So he mentions that it means in
Heaven.
Arabic a river in paradise.
That's Firdaus.
Yeah,
Yes,
it could
okay.
be.
It could be.
It could be Kauthar. It could
Kauthar,
be
okay.
Salsabil.
Yeah.
So there's like a variety of names. I was like trying to find clues in his poems as to like something that could bring me closer to finding out what exactly her name was, but I couldn't make that discovery.
Yeah, I was also thinking about it,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, should I really be thinking about it? Maybe there was a purpose for not telling the name.
Exactly.
Yeah,
to
it's
keep
left
it.
for interpretation.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun part to keep in mind during the whole book.
Yeah.
Do you have another addition in
Yes.
terms of themes and overview?
Another theme that that stood out to me was his description of Tunisian nature. And one particular poem that I really loved and like enjoyed reading was one titled Field. And what stood out to me there is how he was able to express so much appreciation and so much love for a very simplistic landscape. It's basically just a green field next to the sea. And yet, like the imagery that he uses, he basically first he starts off by like mentioning the sense of harmony that there is in that particular field and artistry that exists in Tunis's nature, like more generally. So he describes its rare flowers, its rare flora, and how these flowers are harmonized with the waves of the sea because their stems, like they dance with the wind, they dance with the breeze in a mimetic fashion. And he like compares like the creation of these flowers to an artist's or an actor's attempt to imitate reality. So it's like these flowers are trying to imitate the waves of the sea exactly how an artist would try to imitate reality, which I thought was really beautiful. And then he highlights this connection and appreciates this connection that exists between nature and humanity by pointing out the similarities between the horses that are like grazing the grass in this field and the Tunisian people who are just there walking. He compares the brown color of the fur of this horse to their skin tone, and he goes, there is much harmony, there is much coexistence between like the fauna and the humans, which I thought was great. And he adds this level of like this mythicality to the description of Tunisian people by describing their hair as like the hair of a gorgon, or like by like drawing on references to mythology. And I think this like brings out this idea that he idealizes these people, and he attributes like a magical quality, a mythical quality to these people.
Well, I've never thought of it that way. I thought he's just like obsessed with mythology. Okay, but nice point that you brought up.
Yeah, and then he shifts his focus to like the warmth of familial bonds and relationships that, like from a very brief interaction, he like witnesses a young boy gazing at a girl in this field, like in admiration, and then he like witnesses a woman holding her daughter close and walking with her across the field, and he points out how this shows how these people are close to each other and how warm their relationships are, just from like a very brief interaction between two pairs of people. And in the last two lines, he basically delves into some kind of reflection or like introspection, where he says that because of that landscape, he now has lost all faith in another world, which shows just how much he appreciates, and he has put all his faith in that word, which is Tunis. To him, the world is Tunis, which I thought was really interesting to think about.
Yeah.
To go back to the point of mythology, I found it really interesting that throughout the book, there's this, like, he uses like Arab, quote unquote, or African mythology, but he also references a lot of like Greek and Roman mythology. And then there's the contrast between his use of mythology and then his use of references to more modern religions like Islam all over the book. And I think it's an interesting dichotomy, especially when you take into consideration the theme of like colonialism and revolution and all that, that's also present all over the book. Like this contrast is kind of related to the like colonizer colonized kind of theme.
I also want to add something.
Yeah.
When Hiba was talking, it might seem that the entire poems are like very heavy, but they're not. He uses also mythology in a very whimsical type of way. In a poem called Repetition, he mentions the belief that swans bark, which as we know they don't. And he learned that from a Russian cousin, so how wild is that? How come? And then he also says, like going back to the theme of love and longing for love and longing of belonging with his lover, he uses the image of a black bird, which is standing on a wall without a house. A wall without a house. How? So this evokes a sense of displacement and longing, and it also means that his lover came back to him through that blackbird, which then came and flew and stood on his shoulder. It's all whimsical, it's all mythological, but it's also very light. So that was really nice.
Yeah, he actually uses like pretty simplistic language. Like we're going deep into the analysis, but really the language he uses is very accessible. And so like when you read it the first time, I had to read every poem like 2 or 3 times to fully grasp what he was saying. So when you read it the first time, you say, I don't know what he's talking about. Like I don't know what this means on like a greater scale. But then you read into it and you find you try to find the symbolism behind every word, and you realize that there's actually a deep meaning that he's trying to convey there. Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of instances when you were explaining and speaking, and I'm like, did I read the same book? I read the same
Exactly.
So now I understand that, yes, there are lots of language that's let's say, easy to understand, and the mythology, if you know it, you can get the idea behind it. But to really go into details and to really understand maybe what the hidden messages are,
Yeah.
you maybe
Yeah,
have
that's
to
the
really
beauty of symbolism. You know, it's very subjective, but it's also not. So there's no right answer. But it's very fun to like
Yeah.
delve deep into and try to guess.
And see what.
And sometimes
other
you
people-
can't. But, oh,
It's
well.
fun to do it.
But also keep in mind that's the literature major's
Yeah.
side. Like,
Also this side, right?
No.
Oh,
No, I'm not
okay,
that.
okay.
I'm a writing major.
Oh.
But yeah, so you can read the book and you can read this poetry and you can not understand the deeper meanings but still enjoy it at the same time. I really enjoyed this book and I did not like go down deep into my analysis.
Plus, if
So-
you're interested in mythology, you can learn that through this book. So
Yeah,
it's two in one.
Yeah, definitely. No need for Percy Jackson.
Don't mention Percy Jackson.
No,
Huge fan.
Okay. I heard that the sixth book is coming out soon.
Sixth book is already out.
It's already out. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to where we were. This was a nice break. So we just have around a couple of minutes. So I would love to wrap it up. And if any one of you want to share a poem that really stuck with you and you want to just read it, feel free before we do the, let's say, conclusion or closing. I don't know what you call it exactly after you finish a talk about the book.
Do you have anything? I
Um,
have an idea.
who wants to know?
She's gonna go.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Unless, would you like to share any of your poems?
a poem.
If you want
All right. Can you open the book, please?
All right,
All
fine.
right.
Okay.
Oh, you have it? All right.
Okay, okay.
Um,
if you need to increase the
no,
Okay.
here it is. It's actually a very short poem, but it's pretty impactful, especially because like when you take into consideration this idea of resilience and resistance to like oppression. So it's titled All Along, and it goes, all along thought I had been in a cocoon, waiting to mature, be born. But I was already a man, not in my cocoon, but in the web of a great spider. And I thought this was pretty interesting because it shows how sometimes you don't realize that there are certain circumstances, or you are in certain circumstances that are preventing your own growth and your own development. So we see here him being in a cocoon and like being ready, like being like excited about blooming and like coming out and just becoming a man and maturing. There is this desire for improvement and self-development. But then he realized that he's already matured. He's just stuck in a situation that's preventing him from basically enjoying that maturity and living it. And if we relate this to like the context in which he wrote this, sometimes like, the basis for colonialism, what is it? The Western nations or like the colonizing nations would be like, these people are not ready to rule themselves. So we're doing them a favor to like allow them to become a mature state that can dictate itself or rule itself. Except that these people would be ready. It's just that maybe these people would like, they have different manners or different ways of like leading their nation.
Most cases they are ready. They
They
are
are
already
ready.
doing it.
Exactly. And they're already doing it. They're just doing it in their own way.
Yeah.
Maybe the West doesn't agree. And so, yeah, if we relate this to the context of colonialism, these nations, they have already matured. They're already blooming. But the great spider described here in this poem is this colonizing army, this colonizing nation that is coming and prevent their like maturation and their personal development. So I thought this was like an interesting connection that he made there. Although it seems very personal, because like I was already a man, you can relate it to like the broader context in which the whole book was written. Yeah.
Great. Nice. That was a good one. That was a good one relating it to colonialism and stuff. Nice, good. Do you have another poem to read or any?
Or
No,
money.
you go if you want.
Okay. I love how they already know the names. They're just like.
Okay, it's a bit longer, but it falls under the same theme. So it's titled Down to Her Molecular. So it goes, one part was essential about this, my Arab girl. Instead, essentialist national Arabness did not. Bronze graft, her dreams in one zone, did not anchor the sail between the night-clad air, blew warm through the Gemma minaret that tried to plug the wind clean of mosquitoes Jilak, and therefore it swept her face, her black curls, and her head, her eyes shut in pleasure, half shut in dreams to let in some of mine and the anti-world's sadness a mineral of it. Not even her dark curls were essentially purely Arab, or night Tuareg, or morning breakfast Bedouin. For example, to further evidence this hypothesis, she woke up on different mornings, speaking a mutter of Russian, a line of a kind of Hindi, or more specifically a spectre of Mogul, in her bed in Tunis, though she was always the same color of naked, the formulaic structure of our love, we were ever unmoored and we are moors. Essentially, indestructibly Tunisian of her was when the ships and town time separated our bodies, breathing each other still. I told her in the emails, write to me in French if it is easier for you. I read French sans aucun problème, n'importe quoi. C'est plus facile, Marc, super d'accord. Because English I just taught you. It is difficult for you, I said. And her thoughts were in Arabic, and the grammar of her electric rhythms at night, maybe Berber, or who knows what that tongue, that is eternal. But French is still Latin, of cold Titus Aeneas, the legal contract talk, the doctor language of agreements written and signed on paper flowers, most Syriac hibiscus, broken discus of stuck-up colonial monotony, with which he poisoned Didon's soul until she needed clean her skin with fire. My lover from Tunisia never, not once, could she write back, as long as she loved me in Français. And it's very interesting here because French is a language that she knew, and they both spoke French. They had this language barrier between them, where her mother tongue is Arabic and his mother tongue is English or Spanish or whatever. But he taught her English, okay, but she spoke French mainly, and he also spoke French. And he tried to convince her that it is easier for you to speak to me in French, to write to me in French. But still, she insisted not to, as a form of resistance to this French colonial power. And it's very interesting the way he describes the French language as Latin of cold Titus, Aeneas, and legal contract talk and doctor language, and it's very critical of this colonial power. And at the same time, it's she speaks a lot of different languages, Hindi and Russian and all that, but still she resisted and insisted on speaking in Arabic, in her mother tongue.
And also something else I like is that he pointed out the fact that she's not only Arab, but she's also has still her ancestry as Berber, which are the indigenous people of North Africa. And also he mentioned Tuareg, which are the indigenous people in the Sahara and where they live. And that's quite interesting to see or to recognize in our modern day, because now we don't really differentiate if you're Arab or the Amazigh. We're pretty much mixed. We're just one identity, that's Tunisian. But still he recognized that those let's say aspects and those characteristics of a person, how they speak or the color of the skin, really were passed down generations, and that kept her identity. Does anyone want to add anything? Well, I think we are about to finish our talk. It has been very nice seeing all of your thoughts and opinions, hearing your analysis and poems and you reading the poems. Overall, I hope you also enjoyed being on our broadcast.
For sure.
And,
We did.
You did?
Yeah.
You sure? Say it to the camera. I'm not holding them hostage.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, overall, thank you again.
Thank you.
And we will definitely send you the link, and you can share it. And I would like also to thank everyone. We have 6 people now watching. That's a high number. I said 6, not 600, but still. Thank you all for tuning in, and keep and follow us to keep you posted on our upcoming events. Also follow the Page Turner Instagram page, which is
Official.
Official.page.
to get involved with them if you want. The sign up for next semester will open next semester, but you can still attend events,
Yes, of course.
the literature day that they have coming, and all sorts of other events.
On Friday from 11 to 4.
Please be there.
So I will come to your house and pick you up and force you into the car. Just come, please.
Okay, I don't think I have the liberty to say that on any premises.
Thank you. It was interesting.
You have, see?
We have fans.
Thank you. It was interesting. Thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully we'll get to have more events
Yes,
soon.
this was really a pleasure. It's rare for us to have this chance, this opportunity to discuss literature and share our analysis with other students from other clubs. So thank you for this. This was really nice. Yeah.
I was not expecting a certain way of you structuring the talk, but then you surprised me kind of. I was not expecting that you would have all of these analysis and all of these, let's say.
That's how you know we're English literature
Exactly.
majors.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They want to share the names of the authors and the book discussed, so we'll repeat again. The book is called Ouafa and Thaoura, a lover from Tunisia, and the author, to spell it correctly, I'll have to do it.
Arturo Desimone.
And we will definitely write it and post it in our description box. Thank you all and have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.